Good evening. Welcome to the November 21st Public Works session of the Rockville Center Board of Education. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to start off this evening with a statement regarding regionalization. Regionalization is a topic that has come to our attention. Mr. Gavin spoke about it at our last meeting. Since then, there's been some emails from the community wondering if our board was going to take a stance or respond to the state in any way regarding regionalization. So the board, Mr. Gavin has crafted a letter, which we send up to New York State tomorrow, and I would like to read the letter at this time. The Board of Education of Rockville Center Union Free School District is committed to serving our students and community. A key part of our service involves elevating important concerns to policymakers. We have always appreciated our collaboration with Nassau BOCES and with the New York State Education Department. These partnerships have helped us enhance our programs and supported our mission of educating independent problem solvers to meet the challenges of tomorrow's emerging world. We are, however, concerned about the contradiction between the explanation provided by NYSED to school board members about the level of participation mandated through the emergency regulations regarding regionalization and the wording of the regulation itself. This lack of clarity is causing many districts to question the intent and the potential outcomes of the proposed regionalization effort. We believe that districts should engage in resource sharing and collaboration when those efforts are mutually beneficial and the agreements are entered voluntarily. The Rockville Center School District works closely with BOCES to provide our students with special education services and career and technical education opportunities. We partner with other districts on transportation routes, special education, and sports teams. However, we do so when it best fits the needs of our students and our community with the recommendation from our superintendent and the approval of our board. While we recognize that the state has said that it does not intend to combine districts or mandate resource sharing and collaboration, we must state unequivocally that we would oppose any such efforts. New York State Education Department is currently taking public comment on the proposed regulation, and it is our collective hope that the department will make amendments to the language that make it more clearly consistent with what is posted on your website in order to further reduce confusion. Thank you for your attention to our concerns. We look forward to a continued dialogue on this important matter, and we hope to see the conflicting information resolved with clearer language in the regulation. We firmly believe that local control of school districts must be maintained, and it is essential for the success of the students and community that we serve. Signed sincerely, Mr. Matthew Gavin, Superintendent of School, and the Rockville Center Board of Education. Thank you. At this time, I will ask Mr. Gavin for a superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Barry. President Barry and I recently attended a meeting of our local legislatures, Board of Education members, and superintendents. We extend our gratitude to Judy Griffin for participating in addressing school district concerns regarding both regionalization and proposed changes to the foundation aid formula. Long Island districts, including ours, share significant concerns about potential adjustments to state aid distribution. Long Island taxpayers already contribute disproportionately to support students across the state. We are advocating to ensure that our state aid levels are preserved and increased to address rising costs associated with inflation, insurance, and transportation. Additionally, we want our legislators to recognize the financial burden of state mandates, such as the required transition to electric buses. This unfunded mandate is just one of others that will drive up already escalating transportation costs. I want the public to know that we anticipate receiving the recommendations for the foundation aid formula changes on December 1st of this year, so shortly after Thanksgiving. Now on to some happier news. Congratulations to the cast and crew of the show Is the Thing. I had the pleasure of seeing our talented middle school actors, dancers, and singers deliver a fantastic performance. Special thanks to Ms. Mansour and Mrs. Elias for their dedication and hard work in bringing this production to life. We walked through the high school production of Pride and Prejudice, so this fall we are proud to announce that Southside is presenting Pride and Prejudice with the performances last night and this evening. I'm looking forward to attending tomorrow's show with the additional performance scheduled for Saturday evening. We encourage everyone to attend. Details for purchasing tickets can be found on Parent Square. Dr. Downing and I were fortunate enough to watch some of the early rehearsals, and it was inspiring to see how much passion and effort the students are pouring into this production. A heartfelt thank you to Mr. Demblin for preparing the students, and to Ms. Mark for her leadership in theater department and ensuring that our cast and crew have the resources that they need for success. Congratulations to all of our fall athletes. We had a wonderful fall season and look forward to recognizing the accomplishments of the athletes at our next board meeting in December. Inclusive Schools Week is from December 4th to December 8th. Inclusive Schools Week is an opportunity for students, staff, and the broader community to celebrate and promote the values of inclusion, diversity, and belonging within our schools. This year's theme is Every Voice Matters. I do believe Ms. Messier is wearing the t-shirt. So there's branding behind it too. So we want to make sure that we want to make sure the community recognizes and we continue to promote the importance of ensuring that all students, regardless of their abilities or backgrounds, can be heard, respected, and valued. Through this week, we will highlight the significance of creating an inclusive school environment where every student feels welcome, supported, and empowered to thrive. We are ready to move something up, Madam President. We ready? Mm-hmm. So, as we previously announced, Mr. Bartels is retiring at the end of December after 25 years of dedicated service to Rockville Center. Tonight, we are proud to recommend Jackie Rehack as our new Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations. Ms. Rehack is currently the Assistant Superintendent for Business in North Belmore and has served as such for the last 5 years. Prior to assuming her role in education, Ms. Rehack worked in public accounting. After 4 rounds of interviews, it was clear that she was the best choice suited to have the hard job of replacing Mr. Bartels and helping Rockville Center navigate always challenging financial conditions. In addition to her background in public accounting and her extensive experience in the role, Ms. Rehack constantly emphasized throughout the entire interview process her commitment to ensuring that the students had the resources they needed to thrive. Her child-centered approach aligns perfectly with our values here in Rockville Center, and we are so thrilled to welcome you to the team, Jackie. Congratulations. Well, not yet. We didn't approve it yet. So, sorry. Give it a second. Give it a second. I got ahead of the game a little bit. I'm apologizing.
One moment. May I have a motion to approve H7 and H8, which is the resolution approving Ms. Rehack's appointment and the PIR?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, officially welcome. On behalf of the board, we welcome you to Rockville Center. We can't wait to get to work with you, and you're joining a wonderful team up here. And once again, on behalf of the board, Mr. Bartels, thank you very much. Okay, turning to presentations, the public work session will start. Mr. Gavin with the PE Health Athletics review process.
Yes, we'd like to introduce he's not even new anymore. He's been here for a while. Now he's got a full season under his belt. We'd like to welcome Patrick McGuire here to talk a little bit about the process we're going through as we review, as part of our curriculum review, athletics, PE, and health. Mr. McGuire, thank you for coming. Let's roll.
All right. Good evening, members of the board, administrative team. Mr. Gavin, thank you so much for having me. This is a really exciting moment and an honor to be here. So I am Patrick McGuire. I'm the Director of Physical Education, Health, and Athletics here in the Rockville Center School District. And this is my review, not just my review, but the whole, review of physical education, health, and athletics. All right, so the board has 3 goals as we go through this review process. As we go through this review process, we want to make sure that this review is aligned to the board goals. So the health and phys ed teachers, we've been meeting since September, have aligned the board goals and created questions that will help guide this review process. So question number 1, how can we optimize our budget to enhance physical education, health, and athletics programs? What innovative strategies can we implement to improve student physical fitness, health literacy, and athletic experiences? And finally, how can we strengthen partnerships with community organizations to provide expanded opportunities for students in phys ed, health, and athletics? All right, so our goal here in Rockville Center is to have the absolute best physical education and health program. We have wonderful teachers, K through 12, and what we're going to be looking to do is enhance the already great things that our teachers are doing with our students. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to develop a shared vision, mission, and belief statements, K to 12. So we've been working on that within the first few meetings that we've had with the K through 12 physical education and health teachers. Next, we want to review and align physical education and health curriculum with our New York State standards. The standards drive our instruction. They also drive our curriculum mapping. So we want to make sure we're aligned K through 12. Conduct student surveys to assess needs and interests. So student input is extremely valuable and important and something that's going to help us make informed decisions going forward. We also want to research best practices. We want to, as I mentioned, me being at the helm, I would love one of the most innovative, cutting-edge physical education and health programs, not only on Long Island, but throughout New York State. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's what I've tasked our teachers to do, is see what are those best practices and how can we implement that into the curriculum. We're going to examine unified PE curriculum through Special Olympics New York. So I have a partnership. I'm the Unified Sport Coordinator for Nassau County. So I have a partnership with Special Olympics. At our last meeting on Superintendent's Conference Day, we met with Special Olympics New York to check out resources. They actually have a dedicated curriculum for unified PE. So we're going to look to bolster our offerings at the middle school and high school, as well as what can we do at the elementary level. Finally, we're going to explore skills-based health curriculums. So Health Smart and the Great Body Shop are two proven skills-based health curriculums that many districts throughout New York State have been using. We're going to try and gather as much information to see if that's something that would work for our Rockville Center students. All right, we have a rich tradition of athletics. Rich tradition of athletics and our athletic programs. One of the reasons that I came to the Rockville Center School District is because of that rich tradition. I want to take good programs, good to great, and make them, excellent. That's really the goal. And I think, this review process will help us to drive or create an action plan for the next 3 to 5 years. So facility upgrades. We're going to conduct a facility needs assessment. We're going to see what are our strengths, what are our deficiencies, where are we going to go the next few years. Sport offerings. I talked about this in the physical education and health section, but I also want to focus on providing sports for all students. So what does that mean? Challenger, unified. Challenger sports is for students with cognitive and or physical disabilities. Soccer, basketball, and track and field are the offerings through Challenger. Unified, there are 2 sport offerings, bowling and basketball. Those are for students who are intellectually disabled and or have an IEP, have an IEP. So the unique thing about unified sports is it brings together not only our special education students, but it also brings together our general education students on one team to participate on a varsity sport that's recognized by BOCES, Section 8, and by NISFA, which is pretty cool. The last point that I want to focus on tonight in regards to our athletic program is our parent-student-athlete workshops. So we want to educate our parents, we want to educate our students, we want them to be great athletes, we want to develop great teams. We feel like having seasonal workshops is going to be able to provide great information for our parents and students, and also, drive our athletic program forward. So things that we want to focus on is college preparation and recruitment, nutrition, strength conditioning, off-season training, mental training, and character education. Right, along with our Board of Education goals and questions, our K through 12 health and physical education teachers have also developed guiding questions. For example, how can we effectively implement the New York State physical education and health standards to promote student health, fitness, and well-being? How can we ensure equitable access to quality physical education, health, and athletic programs for all students? All right, stakeholder involvement is extremely important, so I don't want to just get the feedback from the students, from the teachers, but also the community at large, right? So taking you through that process, We're going to have a number of subcommittees. We're going to have subcommittees including physical education and health teachers, coaches, administrators, nurses, psychologists, social workers, and then student focus groups. Again, I talked about it during the physical education and health piece. We want to make sure that we're getting student input and feedback, and by holding focus groups with a wide cross-section of students will allow us to get that feedback. Also, we want to get stakeholder input from students that aren't part of the focus groups and parent and community surveys through Google Forms. All right, so this, Mr. Gavin has tasked me with this since July 1st. I've been working diligently on this. So the proposed timeline does not include the work that was done July, August, September, and October, but I can assure you that we have been working diligently. I've been meeting with many, many stakeholders to, again, inform our decisions and eventually recommendations to the board in May. So November and December, just kind of walking you through the next few months. November and December is for, November and December is for our K through 12 physical education and health teachers. All right, so we're going to be holding meetings. We've held a few already. We have one in December. In that K through 12 group, we're also going to form subcommittees, elementary, middle school, and high school subcommittees for our health and phys ed teachers. In January, we're going to have more teacher subcommittee meetings. We're going to have meetings with coaches, or I'll be having meetings with coaches, individual and group meetings. We're going to have meetings with administrators, nurses, psychologists, and social workers. And then February, March, and April is where the students, parents, community members kind of come in. So student and parent surveys will be sent out. Student focus groups will be taking place. Community outreach and partnership development will also take place. And in May, I'm going to present our findings and recommendations to you right here at the Board of Education meeting. And I just want to thank you for your time. This is a dream to be up, not necessarily a dream to be up here, but a dream to, dream to be part of this district. And thank you so much. Go Cyclones.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. As we are examining, understanding first, let me back up, that this is the overview, and then you're coming back for recommendations later this year, just like the other presentations that we've seen aligned with our board goals. But as you are going through the process, we know that there have already been some requests that have come to us about adding potentially some new activities or sports. So can you just take this opportunity to walk us through what that process looks like, the steps in that process, and along with that, the considerations that you and we as a board and district have to consider, such as transportation costs, et cetera?
Yeah, so should I be specific or just?
No. General is perfect. Thank you.
All right. All right, yeah. So, there's some things that have definitely come across my desk. I'm sure you guys have heard the same thing. Mr. Gavin, over the, I think 3 years, Mr. Gavin? 2.5, okay. Has added a number of different sports. We want to provide as many opportunities to students as possible. That's the bottom line. We want them to have a great educational experience, but there are some pitfalls, some things that we need to focus on. One being facility needs assessment is, space is an issue. And if we come up with some creative ways to add sports, I'll just say at the middle school level, that would mean maybe that students are practicing later than, parents would probably want. There are transportation costs that could be challenging. Adding coaches could be challenging. Budgetary, supplies like uniforms, equipment, different things like that. So, I value the feedback that I've been getting, and I'm putting that in a folder, and I'm continually looking at that and reviewing it. So please know that the steps are being taken to at least investigate every possible avenue, but there are challenges with that as well.
Thank you. I love the shared vision, mission, belief statements, that's your starting point. I think that makes sense, and I welcome that. As well as the Challenger and Unified Sports. I'm really excited to know that you're looking at that and bringing that in as well. Could you just expand a little bit on your vision for the seasonal workshops?
Yeah, so we've already had one. We've already started this process. So Wayne Mazzoni is someone that has been in college athletics. He's a Sacred Heart baseball coach. Now, predominantly, he's doing recruitment and preparation for parents, for student athletes. You know, I just wanted our parents, I want our students to be informed and provide as many opportunities for that. So that, I got a lot of great feedback. We had over 54 people attend that session. On December 2nd, we're going to have a nutrition presentation as part of our coaches night, where we're going to have a nutritionist come in and speak to the parents, speak to the student athletes, because that's a huge thing, right? The focus on training is ever present. It's always there, but nutrition is always something that is lacking. You know, I'm one to speak, but it's you know, that's just the reality that, you know, kids, there's so much information out there. It's almost too much. So nutrition presentations, what I want to do is focus on character education. One of my big things is I want to win Nassau County championships. I want to win Long Island championships, state championships, but really we want to develop great people is, you know, important for me. So expanding on the work that our parents are doing, our families are doing at home, expanding it on the work that we're doing in the classroom. I think coaching, sports provides that avenue to, you know, really develop life lessons and values that are going to help our Rockville Center students be great people.
Agreed, our coaches play such a vital role for our student athletes, and we appreciate them very much, so thank you for that. Baseball is often something that comes to us as well, so since you're here, I'm just going to put this out there as well.
Yep.
The lack of field space and just are working with the village and trying to work with the village to maximize as much as we can. So I would just ask that you keep us informed of that
Absolutely.
as baseball comes up, and just trying to be proactive about that because it's always an issue for us every year.
Yeah, so I've received, again, a lot of feedback, what's happened in the past. I want things to be better. I think we all do. And, you know, I'm going to do everything in my power to work with the town and figure this out and, you know, work with Mr. Gavin and you guys to find maybe something dedicated on campus. And we have to be creative with that, but it would be awesome. It'd be nice to have something like that. So
Thank you so much, and thank you for your presentation.
thank you. Thank you so much.
At this time, I'll turn it over for comments or questions from board members.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McGuire. It's good to have you with us. Two quick things.
Sure.
In terms of the parent and student workshops, I appreciate your interest in nutrition and character education, and I would also ask if we could include some mental health as well. I feel that student athletes have sort of an extra time management and level of stress sometimes that really needs to be out in the open, and so something to consider there.
100% agree. Yeah, it's something that's really overlooked. We focus so much on the physical side of things. We don't focus on the mental side. And I think our coaches, and not at any fault of their own, they need some training on this too. So I think 100% I agree with that, and I'm definitely in favor, and I will look to bring things as in regards
Great.
to mental training.
Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
The other, if you could just give us a brief explanation when you mentioned unified, is that something that's in the gym, in the PE classes, as well as an extracurricular?
It is.
Both or one? Okay.
Yeah, it is. So right now we offer unified PE at the middle school and high school. So that's students with and without disabilities participating in a physical education class. Unified sports is an extracurricular activity, so that would be after school. Unified bowling would take place at Garden City Lanes. So the practices and matches would take place there. Again, bringing together students with and without disabilities. Currently there's 11 schools in Nassau County who are participating in unified bowling, and 13 schools are participating in unified basketball. Unified basketball, would take place in our school gymnasium. Practices, games, everything would take place on campus.
And so for the students with disabilities and students who opt in, this is sort of a choice, right? So they could enroll in this particular unified gym class.
Oh, absolutely.
If that was their selection. Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. This is very exciting. So many ideas, which is really refreshing, and I I love your enthusiasm and your innovative approach, but also grounded in goals and real, what the student experience is going to be like. I just have to commend you for looking at the nutrition and off-season training and strength and conditioning for our student athletes. I think our student athletes are not only playing for Southside, but then they're often going to additional practices after the fact. There's a lot of wear and tear that goes into being an athlete these days, and I really think it's vital for their own health and longevity that we really start focusing on those not immediate impact conversations, but that's what's really going to help them avoid injury and sustain a long-term commitment to, even if they're not playing in college, just health and fitness and as they go on in life, right?
Yeah, you
So-
want to teach them now so then they
Correct.
have that later on, right? So they have the tools to eat healthy, exercise, and they find something that they love. That's the biggest thing is our goal in physical education and health and athletics is for them not to stop once they graduate from Southside High School, but do this for the rest of their life. Like this is, you don't have your health, you don't have much. You know?
No, it's true, and as we're all aging, I'm sure we're all feeling it in a way that a 16-year-old doesn't really appreciate that. But I think if you build the right approach and good habits early on, so I know that those things are targeted right now for our student athletes, but I would love to see more of that also just infused into the experience for all of our
Sure.
students. I think it's a very important part of educating the whole child. I also really appreciate that you are talking to the psychologists and social workers. There's such a crossover between mental health and physical activity. Again, like a lifelong understanding that I think will serve all of our students well as they get into college. So connecting those, I would love to see those pieces further connected,
Sure.
if possible.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited for the teachers to work with you and really try to look at some innovative things to bring. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I have a little laryngitis. I really echo everything Janet said. You've brought like a real breath of fresh air, and really appreciate everything you've been doing here. I would ask that you include input from the Booster Club in some of your conversations. They've been very good partners to us. And years ago, we had an athletic advisory committee, and we pulled people from various places. We had coaches, we had parents, we had Booster Club presidents, and it was just a really great meeting of the minds, everybody like-minded in the sense that they wanted our student athletes to be successful and support our students with fundraising and with scholarships and everything else. So I would just ask you to work them into your fold as you're going through your process, because I think you'll find them to be amazing parent partners. And just on a personal note, I wish you good luck and Godspeed for your first red and blue. So,
Why does everyone keep saying that?
I know. You've been forewarned. Good luck.
Come on. It's going to be great. I can't wait. It really is.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I sincerely appreciate you including and prioritizing student voice in your planning, as well as the attention to opportunities for unified and challenger sports. I think that's something that we're sorely missing.
Thank you.
And will be a great addition to our programs. I also really appreciate the focus on skills in both physical education and health class. I guess my biggest ask is, as you look through and analyze and learn about our systems, that as you design for legacy. This district has the resources and it has the personnel to be the best. And while it's nice to win here and there, I think we're capable of winning all the time.
Yep.
But that comes from design. Looking into the off-season, as you were talking about, I think really trying to provide those opportunities for strength, speed, and agility in the summer and the winter will be huge for our athletes. I know many of our families supplement that themselves already, but that's not the case for all of our athletes. So being able to provide something in-house, both of those seasons, would be awesome. Just thinking about other opportunities that other districts offer. For example, in the winter, many of our competitors in lacrosse offer box lacrosse in the winter for their lacrosse athletes. So starting those kind of opportunities, I think, would be great too, to really help develop legacy. Thinking about our sports offerings as well. I mean, we're a pipeline. We start with our community-based organizations that work with our youngest athletes to the middle school, to the high school. Thinking about our community-based organizations. How are we as a district outreaching to them? How are we providing for them? Some of our competitive districts, for example, in football, they have their senior football athletes attend all of their, I don't know what we call it, peewee football, youth football games, and they're there, and the kids see them, and they see themselves as Cyclones from the beginning. And that's something that's important because we do lose a lot of our athletes to Chaminade, to Kellenberg, to Sacred Heart. I want our kids to see themselves as Cyclones from the moment they step into the school, to develop that love and that look ahead. Thinking about our field space. We just built a beautiful field over at the middle school. Again, I'm just going to use football because I lived there. Our peewee football team is practicing in the corner of Rockville Center at Reverend Days or Morgan Days, which is a fine field, but the middle school field is wide open and there's no one there. Like, let's get them on our school property again. Let's let them see themselves as Cyclones playing at that middle school, playing at that high school. Just really doing that outreach to everyone. Thinking about our middle school sports. We have expanded opportunity there, and I know it's budgetary, but it's hard to go and see the 7th grade girls soccer team that has 40 children on it. Middle school philosophy is equal play. These kids are getting 12 minutes of playing time. Like, let's think about a combo team, maybe. And again, I know it's budgetary, but I think we have to be thinking about these things if we're designing for legacy. The kids have to be on the field playing. Thinking about our football team, we only have a combined 7-8 team, where again, you might have 8th graders getting more playing time than 7th graders. Maybe we lose 7 into 8. Would love to see 2 football teams, really giving kids those opportunities to get that uniform on and to play. Looking at the high school, again, I know we have our dance club, which is looking to become a team. That would be great. Looking at the cheer team we have, like, let's elevate them to a competitive cheer team. Right now, they're just a sideline cheer team. Thinking about other opportunities, bowling. We have a bowling alley in town. I know we're looking at unified bowling, but having a varsity bowling team would be great. Maybe partnering with other districts for a fencing team, a rifle team, a crew team, kind of like those other niche sports that kids have interest in that we might not be able to house ourselves, but other districts are doing those things. I want to see the opportunity for all of our athletes, or all of our students, I should say, to see themselves and see a place for themselves in athletics. I have a lot of confidence in our athletic program, and I would just love to see it shine in the way that I know it can. And I think if we design for that, we could be excellent. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you're doing, going to do, I should say.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. We look forward to you coming back to us in the spring with your recommendations. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, Mr. Gavin, switching gears, our second presentation this evening is high school data.
That's right. We are welcoming Dr. Walsh and Ms. Darby, who will be presenting the high school results from last year. Dr. Walsh, it's your show.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin, and thank you to our central administration and our Board of Education for welcoming me. Oh, my apologies. Thank you, Mr. Gavin, and thank you to our central... I greatly appreciate it, so thank you. Appreciate you welcoming us here tonight. Ms. Darby and I are really excited to share the student accomplishments from the 2023-2024 school year with all of you. I started with the quote, "Practice the philosophy of continuous improvement, get a little bit better every single day." This is a philosophy that we aspire to each and every day in the building here at Southside. When we work with teachers on using data to improve instruction, it's about continuous improvement. When we attend professional learning sessions, it's about how can we be a little bit better for our students each and every day so that their experience is as great as it could possibly be here. We included our mission statement as the second slide because it grounds us in the work we do every day. It gives us a guide and something to target in terms of the work we do in creating wonderful learning experiences for our students. Before I get into the data that we're going to share with you tonight, I think it's important for me to briefly review the different types of diplomas that students can earn through New York State. The Regents Diploma is earned when students earn a passing score on Regents exams in one math exam, one science Regents exam, the English Regents, one social studies Regents, and then one pathway. That pathway can take multiple different forms. In many cases, it's a second social studies Regents, but it can also be a second science Regents or a second math Regents. It can also take the form of career and technical education experience or a career development and occupational studies through the CDOS. So there's different options for students based on what interests them and what is the best pathway for them. The Advanced Regents Diploma signifies that the student has taken the most rigorous coursework in the New York State Regents program. It's achieved by earning a passing score on 3 math Regents, 2 science Regents exams, the English Regents, 1 social studies Regents, 1 pathway that was just described, and then in addition to that, one of the following: 2 credits in world language and the locally developed Checkpoint B exam, or a 5-unit sequence in the arts, or a 5-unit sequence in career and technical education. So there are options for students, and when they work with their counselor on the best course forward, these are the things that are taken into consideration. So now we also have our eye on the Blue Ribbon Commission, which is coming out with suggestions on how we're changing the way high school looks at graduation measures. So we want to be at the forefront of that. So we've already started to look at what that might mean for the future here at Southside. So we believe we're very well positioned, and we will give more presentation, a further presentation. Mr. Gavin and I have been speaking about giving updates on what that means for high school at the next presentation. But I do want just to make aware that our faculty are already starting to look at those recommendations so that we are positioned well for any changes that come forward from the state as it relates to graduation measures. Last year, the 2023-2024 cohort graduated with a Regents Diploma rate of 99%, which is right in line with where we've been the prior 2 years. Our Regents with Advanced designation rate for the class of 2024 was 89%, which again, very similar to what we've seen in the last 2 years, of 90% in 22-23 and 90% in 21-22. It's important to look at context to put some of those numbers into play to better understand what that means. When we look at the county rate, Nassau County, we see that in 22-23, 65% of the students in the county earn the Advanced Regents Diploma. In 21-22, that number was 68%. So you can see the stark difference between the rate at which our students earn the advanced designation compared to that of the county, which is an immense source of pride for us here at Southside. It's also important to look at student subgroups when we peel back some of the layers on the Advanced Regents designation. 45% of our students with disabilities earned the Advanced Regents Diploma from the class of 2024, which compared to the Nassau County average in 2023 was only 18%. 67% of our students who are classified as economically disadvantaged earn the Advanced Regents Diploma. In comparison, only 48% of students in Nassau County earn that designation. 72% of our students historically disadvantaged by race earn the Advanced Regents Diploma. Again, when we compare that to the county average of 45% in 2023, we see points of immense pride for our building. The following slide shows how our students did in June 2024, the Regents exam. So on the left-hand side, you see the different exams that are offered at the high school and the total number of students who sat for the exams. The middle column shows the passing rate, the proficiency rate of 65 or higher on these exams. So as you can see, when you compare them to the region, the regional gap refers to the difference between our school and Nassau County. You can see that in all of the exams listed above the black line, we have a positive regional gap, which means we are performing above the county in those exams. I will note that Algebra 1 at the high school, the vast majority of our students took Algebra in 8th grade, so you'll notice the small sample size for that particular exam. So that is definitely a subject that we take pride in, but I do want to just point out the small sample size, which is why it is separated from the others, which encompass the vast majority of our cohort. On the right side of the screen displays our mastery rate. So the mastery rate is achieved by earning an 85 or higher on the Regents exam. And this is our goal for all of our classes we aspire to. And you can see in subjects like ELA, living environment, global history, US history, we are above the county when it comes to mastery rates. Subjects like geometry, algebra 2, chemistry, and physics, I'll get into in a little bit later in the presentation. There's more that meets the eye when we look at those numbers that I look forward to discussing. But there's a lot to be proud of when you see the Regents results here, both from the passing rate and the mastery rate lens. Whenever we're looking at data, I do believe it's important to look over time. We don't want to let 1 year in isolation make us make rash decisions or conclusions. So it was important for us to look at data over a 3-year time period. So you can see that when we compare ourselves to the region, we see a lot of similar trends emerging over time where we are performing above the county. So we put this in there again just to show that over time we are noticing that our students are doing really well as it relates to these exams, comparatively speaking, to the county. This slide is the region summary for elective exams, and they're referred to as elective exams because they are not required for the Regents diploma. So subjects like geometry, algebra 2, chemistry, and physics are not required and are not the typical exams students use to earn the Regents diploma. So this is a slide that provides a lot of context to the work that we do here at Southside High School and our student performance. So there are really, the left side of the screen is our building, Southside High School, and the right side is Nassau County for comparison. And there are really 3 columns of note, and I've noted them by color. So the green column is the percent passing, which we've already looked at on a previous slide. You can see how our students did on those exams just for proficiency. Relative to the county. So as we pointed out in the prior slides, our students are performing above the county in those exams, which we're very happy of. But the story is there's more to the story, right? So when we look at the column with the blue check, it is the percent of the cohort taking the exam. And why this is important is because this tells us the participation. This tells us who in our building are taking the exam of the eligible students. So in geometry, 94% of the students in the cohort who are eligible to take that exam, compared to in the county, only 86% of eligible students take the exam. For algebra 2, 98% of our students who are eligible to sit for the exam actually sit for it, and the county, 69%. For chemistry, our students, 84%, the county, 64%, and for physics, 58%, and the county, 29%. So what this tells us is that our students are taking the exam at a rate much more commonly than that of the county. So when we factor in the point that our students do better than the county and combine that with the participation, it is a source of immense pride in our building. So the third column that I would bring to your attention is the orange checked column, which kind of brings those 2 concepts together, brings achievement and participation and marries them. The percent of the cohort passing the exam. So of the eligible students in the building who can possibly sit for the exam, what percent pass? So it brings together achievement and participation. And you can see when we compare ourselves to the county with that metric, our students are doing exceptional in these particular areas. Now, why is this slide important? Why is this something that we should value? These courses, as we've come to know from New York State, students who get through and succeed in algebra 2 and subjects like chemistry and physics have a strong propensity to do well in their post-secondary experience, whether it's a 4-year college or trade school. So we try to provide as much support as we possibly can to make sure students feel supported in taking these courses and meet success in them, right? So that is our overall goal. Our goal is preparation. We're trying to prepare our students for the next phase of their lives. So these courses help them in that. So they develop skills like perseverance, problem solving, critical thinking, and it's a really important skill-based acquisition experience for the students when they take these courses. So it's something that we believe in strongly. With our eye on the Blue Ribbon Commission, like I mentioned before, there is some question about, well, where do Regents exams come into play anymore? Like, where's their value? What purpose are they going to have moving forward? So while there's still a lot to uncover, what I will say is that the student transcript is going to become critical. So when students can show that they've taken the most rigorous courses that we have to offer, irrespective of the Regents exam, our students get put at an advantage compared to their peers. So it's something that we certainly value, and we look forward to finding ways to continue to strengthen and support our students as they pursue these courses. So at Southside High School, we offer 4 AP courses. I'm going to start with the first 3 because the last one is a little bit different, and I want to call it out in a little bit of a different manner. So the first 3 courses in our math department, AP Calc AB, AP Calc BC, and AP Statistics, which we've offered here at the high school. Last year, we had 38 students challenge the AB exam, and the AP exams are scored on a scale of 1 to 5, so a little bit different from the Regents exam scoring. Proficiency is noted for scores that are 3 or above, so we'll be looking at that as the metric. So 38 students sat for the AB exam, 66% of our students earned a 3, 4, or a 5, and the county rate is in parentheses, so we have a 65% comparison to the county there. 36% of our students sat for the BC course. 67% of them earned a 3, 4, or 5, again, comparatively to the county, which was at an 80. AP Statistics, 17 students sat for the exam, 41% earned a 3, 4, or 5, again, compared to the county of 71%. So when we get this data, we use it as a tool for improvement to see where we are as a building. So we did a little bit of digging, and we learned that last year, specifically AP Statistics, if you notice, there was a little subtle drop. We found that more students, instead of taking AP Statistics, ended up finding their way into the AB Calc class when we spoke with the teacher and uncovered a little bit more. So we lost a few students in that AP Statistics class. It's also a very small sample size that 17 students, a couple students in either direction really moves that percentage. So, but it is something, as we've talked about, using data as a tool for continuous improvement. How can we look at that, what we are already doing, and how can we make it even better? So it's something that we are working on and continue to work on. I'm incredibly proud to share our AP Computer Science Principles class, which was offered for the first time last year, had a robust participation. We had 58 students in year one, which was a terrific number. We were thrilled at that, at how many students expressed interest in that course. And they did terrific on the exam. And we're so proud of them and the teachers that started that course and program here at the high school. 78% of the students in that first year course earned a 3, 4, or 5. So it's a source of immense pride for us, and also a springboard into more options for computer science down the road that we hope to continue with, because the demand was so high and the students did such a nice job with it, and we're excited to see where we're headed with that. We also offer a number of different courses at Southside High School that partner with local colleges and universities for college credit. So we have a total of 21 existing Southside High School courses where we've partnered with either Malloy, Stony Brook, or Five Towns to dual enroll and offer the students the chance to pay for college credit directly to the university at a significantly reduced rate for coursework that they're already doing here at Southside. Specifically, over the last 2 years, we've made a concerted push to expand this number. In the last 2 years, we've had an increase of 11 courses that offer this experience for students. Notably, our World Language Department, IB Spanish and IB French, was added with Stony Brook, which was a wonderful addition. Our music program expanded offerings with Five Towns College, and most recently we've added IB 11 US History and IB English 12. So these opportunities provide great experiences and potential for students to earn college credit at a significantly reduced rate. We always tell students that they should, in terms of will these credits transfer, it's always up to the discretion of the university and college that they go to. So they should work closely with their counselor and determine what's the best course of action for me based on where I am and what schools I'm applying to. But we have gotten feedback very recently from students who've just left us and just graduated that are saying they are entering their first year of college with significant credits under their belt already. And what it's doing is providing them some flexibility in their first year. So some of that pressure that they might have felt in that first year, having those under their belts has really given them a little bit of a breather and a tremendous opportunity for them. So the other point of note too for our IB classes, the SL levels at least, while there is momentum building nationally to offer these for credit more often, they still are in a spot where they typically don't. So by us being able to pair a college with the SL course, it really gives this student the guaranteed opportunity to get credit for those while we hopefully reach a point where it's more universally accepted for the SL courses. The HL courses, it is very common where that is the case. So what should a student do if they're taking an HL course? Just like we would say at any point where they have a question, go to your counselor, have a conversation about what's best for you in terms of the schools you're looking at, your major. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So it's not easy to give one answer, but it is something that should be a conversation determining what's best for each student. So this slide indicates the college level math participation for the class of 2024. So we offer 4 levels of what we would call college level math at Southside High School. Calc AB, which was taken by 14% of the graduating cohort. Calc BC, 13%. AP Statistics, 6%. And our Math Applications Year 2 course, 49% of the cohort. For a grand total of 82% of the cohort reaching one of those 4 courses. When you compare that to the county, with only 36% on average reaching those courses, we're really proud that students have a chance to take 4 years of high quality math classes here at the high school. Why does this matter? Why is this something that we should be tracking and monitoring and something that we care about? When students take high-level math, they are exposed to problem solving, critical thinking, deductive reasoning, logic. All are things that are going to carry and travel with them when they leave us here at Southside. So even if they're, for students that are going to a four-year university, it's critical. Those skills are super important. Even for our students who are applying to trade schools or vocational schools, those problem-solving skills are essential for students as they embark on their next phase after Southside. We also took a look at the college-level course participation for the class of 2024. Our job here at the high school and our mission is to prepare students for what's next for them. And that looks a little different for every child, but what we know is that when we expose them to high-level classes, high-level coursework, high-level experiences, they are often more prepared and ready for whatever challenge they might face in the future. So we had, in the class of 2024, 94% of our students took at least one college-level course. We walked that out for 3, 5, 7, and 10. So as you can see, just to note, 5 or more college-level classes, 85% of our students had that under their belt by the time they left. An astounding number, 62% of our students had 10 or more college-level classes when they left us. And again, what does that mean for students? When they're going into their freshman year, they're often given a little bit of a breather because they have credits under their belt. They have the experience of what a college-level class looks like, so that when they get to that first-year course, they are more prepared than maybe some of their peers coming from other schools. It also helps with the college admissions process. So as I mentioned the transcript before too, when students can indicate that they've taken the most challenging courses that are available to them, or many challenging courses, I should say, it makes them more applicable, and it makes them have a better chance of getting into the school of their choice. So again, a great opportunity for students. New York State currently offers 2 diploma seals. One is the Seal of Civic Readiness, which has a focus in social studies and civics, where students can demonstrate not only knowledge and test score achievement, but participation in their community, participation with projects and project-based learning. And the Seal of Biliteracy encompasses students' achievement in English and also a world language. So this is important, again, I know I keep referencing it, but the Blue Ribbon Commission that's coming out we're trying to have an eye on forward thinking with this. These show students that not only have met academic achievements, but have applied their knowledge through project-based learning and community involvement, which is where we see a lot of the work coming and where things are headed. So we're really proud that we made a concerted push to try to get more students to show that they were able to earn this. So last year with the Seal of Civic Readiness, we jumped up from 12 students the year before to 48 and for the Civic Seal. And then for the Seal of Biliteracy, we went from 21 to 28. We are continuing to look to push this. It's an ongoing work because we know so many of our students are qualified and capable of earning the seal, and we look forward to helping support them with this. For example, we're looking at what's already happening at the middle school level, because a lot of the work that they're doing already can be applied to the application for these seals. So we're trying to strengthen that communication between 6 through 12 to see what are kids already doing, how can we apply that, and make sure they're not having to do duplicate work necessarily if they've already earned the credential and are working towards the credential. So these are areas we look forward to continuing to work towards, because they represent achievement not only on a test, but the application of it as well, which is so important. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our new assistant principal, Miss Andrea Darby, to the podium. So Miss Darby started with us the first week of October. She had big shoes to fill with Miss Nisler Cross leaving us. It was a big hole for us, but I have to say, Miss Darby has stepped in unbelievably. She has hit the ground running, has made concerted efforts to build relationships with our staff, meet with our students, learn our building culture and district culture, and has already been a wonderful addition. So I'd like to introduce her to talk about our IB program.
Thank you, Dr. Walsh, and thank you to Mr. Gavin, Central Administration, and the Board of Education for inviting us here to share our IB results tonight. IB programs aim to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people. Through the adoption of the IB learner profile and the incorporation of the approaches to teaching and learning, students develop skills and competencies for success in college and beyond. Recent data from the National Student Clearinghouse shows that participation in IB coursework has a positive impact on college enrollment, college perseverance, and on-time graduation. Of course, it's not just academic skills that are fostered in IB classrooms. IB programs provide students with a well-rounded education that encourages students to expand their skills across content areas, and to make connections within and across subject areas. The IB Learner Profile encourages critical thinking, reflection, balance, problem solving, and open-mindedness. And I am new here, but it's clear to see that those are all valued both in this school and this community. Students who choose to participate in our IB program at Southside can do so in two ways. The first way is as a full IB diploma candidate. Students who choose this pathway take 6 IB courses from each of the core content areas. They take 3 or 4 courses at the higher level, and then 2 to 3 courses at the standard level. The difference between higher level and standard level courses is a matter of time, not necessarily rigor or challenge. Higher level courses require 240 hours or 2 years of instruction, where standard level courses require 150 hours and can be taught over 1 or 2 years, depending on what's on the best interest of the student. In addition to the 6 IB classes, students also complete the core elements, consisting of extended essay, theory of knowledge, and creativity activity service, or CAS. Each IB course is graded on a scale of 1 through 7, and DP candidates need to accumulate 24 points to earn the IB diploma. The second way that students can participate is as course candidates. These students take 1, 2, 3, 4, or more IB courses. It's up to them how they drive their curriculum and their choices. So one of the most sort of invigorating experiences I've had so far here is meeting with seniors and reviewing their schedule and really seeing the unique combinations of classes students are choosing to take here. So we have students who are taking IB Music and IB Theater, IB Language and Literature and IB Math applications, IB Language and Literature and IB History, IB Chemistry, IB Physics. The list goes on, but they're making choices that make sense for their career paths, that make sense for what they're academically interested in. So one further point of clarification here, the IB diploma is a separate credential from the New York State Regents Diploma and the Advanced Regents Diploma. And this is important because IB diploma candidates leave high school with a highly regarded, internationally recognized credential in addition to the Regents or Advanced Regents Diploma. It's also important to note that we have open access to IB courses here. So while some schools have gates built into their course sequencing that keep students from accessing IB coursework, we keep the door open for all students who want to challenge IB level coursework or the full IB diploma. Last year, 28% of the class earned the diploma with a success rate of 64%. 67.5% of scores were 4 and above, demonstrating proficiency in a college level course. 43% of our students pursued the full diploma. We have strong participation in our IB diploma program. As president of the Guild of IB Schools, I can say that our participation rate is sizable when compared to regional public schools, in part due to our open access. Similarly, I will add that the participation rates in the full diploma have fluctuated regionally due to many factors, including perhaps the COVID pandemic, mental health, student work-life balance, among others. For our HL subjects, the average score in English was 4.222. This is notable because English is one of our most inclusive courses, with 235 students enrolled last year. Similarly, we enjoyed an average score of 4.28 in Spanish, with 113 students enrolled. Our history course is also inclusive, with 229 students enrolled. You may notice that average results were lower in history than English, and this is consistent with global trends, as the global average in history is lower than English. We continue to partner with our history department through our curriculum review to enhance teaching strategies and instructional techniques. Physics is another point of pride. As Dr. Walsh indicated before, physics is an elective science in New York State, so students don't need that for the Regents Diploma. But we had 42 students total enrolled in IB Physics between the higher level and standard levels, with average scores of 5.42 and 4 respectively. At the higher level, we exceeded our performance from 2023 and performed better than the global average. We experienced a 100% proficiency rate in music, theater, physics higher level, Spanish higher level, and French higher level. The Spanish and French performances are important to highlight because the IB diploma is an international credential, and our students are sitting assessments with students worldwide who might have experienced more seat time in language acquisition coursework throughout primary and secondary school. As we look to the future, we are encouraged by the New York State Education Department's Blue Ribbon Commission report, with its focus on skills-based assessment and its forthcoming adoption of a portrait of a graduate. In fact, New York State's recent plan pilot recognized IB programs as an exemplary model for inquiry-based learning with a learner profile, noting the positive correlation between enrollment in IB programs, student achievement, and college attendance. Our IB program positions us well to transition to the Blue Ribbon Commission's graduation model. Now I'll turn it back to Dr. Walsh, who will discuss next steps for supporting students.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. So what are we doing with this information that we were given here with the data? Our job is to use the data to inform our future practice and instruction. So what we did during our November Superintendent's Conference Day is our staff worked together to break down gap reports from BOCES for Regents exams, look at wrong answer summaries to identify trends in student work, and looked at IB results and AP results that were given to us so we could inform our instruction. So for example, just a concrete thing, that's something that we noticed and when looking at the gap reports, that students, for example, were leaving points on the table when it came to the essay in social studies. So what does that mean for instruction? How do we use that as a way to inform what we're doing currently in the classroom to make sure that students are not making that same mistake multiple times and we're learning from it and making that part of our instructional process. So these are the kind of things, the practical, tangible things that we're trying to learn from to make sure our instruction is better moving forward. We also use quarterly common assessments to measure student progress. So at least once a quarter, teachers are giving a common assessment across the grade level so we can have an apples-to-apples comparison about where students are and where student progress is, so that teachers can have conversations about best practices, strengths, weaknesses within the cohort, and what we can do to help them moving forward. It's also important, in addition to gathering test data and student achievement data, to look at the qualitative lens and have conversations. So we've made a concerted effort to gather both teacher and student feedback about our programs and how we can do things even better than we're already doing them at the high school. So for example, I have a principal's advisor. I meet with a group of students and solicit feedback on the Southside experience. What's working? What are some things we can do better? How can we make the experience at Southside optimal for all students? It's a really wonderful learning experience for me. We also tap into our student government leadership very often. Say things, how would you like certain weeks to look? Spirit Week, things in which we can drum up interest within the building for including all students in activities. So we rely heavily on our student leadership to give us feedback. We also have done focus groups. Mr. Gavin and I, Ms. Ramsey, last year did a number of focus groups, and we look to continue that practice to give us insight into what the student experience is like. Teacher feedback as well is also critical and highly important. So we have department facilitators who we are regularly meeting with to gain the pulse of certain departments. What are things we need to work on? What are some things, areas of support, areas of real bright spots, things that are happening that are great within each department? We really tap into our teacher leaders in the building to make sure that we are having a good pulse of where our building is and some things that we need to do to continue moving forward. Communication and parent partnerships, I know, has been a board goal for the last couple of years, and it is consistently a goal here in our building as well, too. We fully understand and see the value in enhanced communication between the family and the school. So our parent-teacher conferences in year 2, they were great last year, and they were equally as beneficial this year, what we found. It was great welcoming in our families, having a chance to meet with the educators in our building and forge those relationships. Our counseling department has expanded the number of opportunities for parents to meet with them as well, along with their students. So last year we rolled out 10th grade parent meetings where parents came in and met with the student and the counselor to devise a plan for course selection in that all-important 10th grade into 11th grade year, which was a really great opportunity. So when we talk about what the transcript looks like, making sure students are taking the class that's appropriate level challenge provides a great opportunity for that. On the same end, it gives parents an opportunity to also highlight a class like a new class that we offered, probability and statistics, for example, in 11th grade, which has been running really well and giving students an opportunity to go a different route also. These have provided opportunities and avenues for parents to have an insight into the process and have a voice at the table so that a team approach could come together to say what is best for the student. Parent Square has been our communication platform that has been rolled out this year, and it has streamlined and enhanced the way we're able to communicate, so that has been a nice addition for us as a district. And an event like Parent University is just an example of a way in which we establish partnerships with our parents through workshops that are relevant to the parents in our school community. So again, partnering with parents, making sure that they have they're a valuable asset to the work that we do here each and every day. We've also at the high school tried to be really diligent and proactive with the measures of support that we offer to students. So outside the classroom, students have opportunities to get additional help and support in zero period for our extra help period, our math resource center, which is staffed by a math teacher all day, so students can go during a free period or an off period to get help in math. Our homework helpers program helps students after school with study skills, homework help, organization, and gives them an opportunity to get assistance after the school day. We also offer during the school day support in lab classes across the various subject areas. The nice part about these courses is that by design they are meant to be fluid, so students can jump in and leave when needed based on what's best for students. Just now we had the end of the first quarter, so we are reviewing student performance and making adjustments to some of those courses based on what makes sense for the student, right? So using the data and using the information that we have to make sure students are getting the support that they need. And if a student is doing wonderful, it might be an opportunity to say, is this still something that you want? Would you like to maybe explore a different option in the second semester, for example? So the fluidity of those classes is really important, and an ongoing analysis required to make them run smoothly. Last year, just as an example, we used both teacher feedback and report card grades to make sure towards the end of the year we were identifying students in need of support. So being proactive, not leaving things up to chance, using the tools at our disposal to make sure that we were identifying properly the students in the building that needed that little bit of extra support. And that worked really well. We look to continue that work again this year in terms of making sure we're not just, again, leaving things up to chance, but being really precise in how we offer support to students in the building. We also see at the high school how much work is going on at the elementary and middle school levels as it relates to multi-tiered systems of support. And that's not something that, we know that's something at the high school that we also need to be aware of and active in terms of helping students. So we're excited to pilot in semester 2 the rollout of an instructional support team that looks at the whole child, right? Not just the academics, looks at everything, takes everything into consideration. So that team will be comprised of our guidance counselors, it will be comprised of our social workers, a building administrator, as well as our director of counseling, and we'll take referrals from teachers, counselors, administrators when students are still struggling after all of the tier 1 supports have been met. So when a teacher has tried all different kinds of interventions with students in the classroom, conferencing, working with the student one-on-one, meeting after school, before school, involving the parent, when all of those things just have not worked, this team will be an additional resource that we can use to try to identify ways in which to help a student. And we'll look at it from the whole child lens. Are there things that are going on that maybe we can help with that maybe the teacher can't necessarily given the spot that they are in and the role that they're in? So we greatly look forward to that rollout, and I know it's going to be a really good success in addition to our building. So I do feel that part of my job tonight is to share a little bit about the Southside story. And I know I talked a lot about test scores and student achievement data, but there's a lot of other things that I'm really proud of here at this building, and maybe even most proud of that you're going to hear in the next 2 slides. So while the vast majority of our students plan to go on to 4-year universities, we know that for some of our students, that is not the option that they're looking for. And we are so proud of the students who last year, our juniors, we had 22 students pursue a BOCES program, and 13 of our seniors participated in a BOCES program, earning a vocational or trade skill that they're able to utilize when they graduate high school. Truly a wonderful opportunity for those students. We also have students in our special ed program, in our Pathways program, who participated in a program called Abilities, which focuses on career exploration, job training, community involvement, gets them out into the community and an understanding of how to develop skills that are relevant in the workforce. Our core students receive both job training in-house at offices, both on district campuses, as well as at local businesses. So our career prep options are robust and many, and it's something that we are continuing to work on because we know we still have work to do in terms of continuing to make these options more accessible to our students. The extracurriculars at Southside High School are wide and vast, and it represents all of the passions that are found within our building. I'm going to start at the bottom just because last year we had 59 active clubs offered at Southside High School, and they represent the various passions and interests of our students, and they are all student-run and student-led. And so when you're walking through the hallways after school, you'll see various clubs meeting and engaging in all the different things that bring students to our building and make them want to stay and be happy here in the school. And they're really a great asset to our building. We also have a social emotional program, Sources of Strength, where we focus on spreading words of resiliency, hope, community among our school community through various campaigns. We have 25 adult advisors who have taken leadership roles in that program, and 65 peer leaders walking through our buildings who are trained in this method of upstream prevention and outreach. Our Liberty Partnership Program through Hofstra University is an opportunity to help students who are at risk have opportunity and access to mentors and college visits and academic support, and really forge a connection in our building. So these are just wonderful examples of which our students can get connected to our school outside of the traditional classroom. You know, when we did a district-wide survey last year, one of the resounding themes that came back was this school community is committed to excellence, and they want excellence in their programs. And, you know, when I see these two slides with our athletic department, which Ms. McGuire outlined so nicely earlier, and our fine and performing arts, I see excellence. And you can see the vast accomplishments in both of these programs. On the athletic side, both at the team level and the individual level. Last year, our student athletes had all county honors, Long Island honors, all state honors, and county championships, Long Island championships, a state championship. So the excellence was abound. The last thing I put there is the most important, is that all of our teams were named a New York State Public High School Athletic Association Scholar Athlete team. So what that means is at least 75% of the students on each of the rosters had a GPA of 90 or above. So when we talk about what it means to be a student athlete, our students are living that example, and they represent our school in such a positive way. Our fine and performing arts program as well is largely decorated and has demonstrated tremendous accomplishments both at the local and regional levels. They represent our school in such a positive way, and we're so proud of the work that they do each and every day. And that program provides such a nice space for students in our building. So we are really proud of the work that they do. And all of this is encompassing building a program that caters to the whole child and makes students well-rounded, great, caring, wonderful students that we know are going to do great things when they leave us here at Southside. So with that, I thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dr. Walsh and Ms. Darby. I'll turn it over to the board for questions or comments.
I'll go first because I have to, nobody wants to listen to this voice. Just want to comment, first of all, thank you so much. This is an amazing presentation. There's a lot of information. I know Mr. Murphy is very proud right now. We all are, and thank you. One thing I just want to comment on, Ms. Darby said, and I want to echo, now that I'm going through the college process and you listen to their information sessions, and a lot of parents will ask, well, if you're test optional, what are you looking for in a student? And every college, excuse me, that people are going to are saying, we're looking to see that you're taking the highest level of courses that are available to you. And to Ms. Darby's point, I'm really proud to be in a district where we're not telling students they can't access this, because that could be changing the entire course of their lives. And so the fact that our students at Southside can avail themselves to all of the things you just put out there makes me really proud as a board member. It really helps us as parents when we go through this process. So I want to thank you for that and keeping those gates out and keeping the doors open for our students. I don't know that they even know, or some of our parents even know how to appreciate that yet, but they will find that they will appreciate it at some point. So I just want to publicly say it and thank you for that. It's been a long tradition here in this district, and you've kept it going. So really, it's just all comments and thank yous tonight, no questions, but I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We say to students when we're going through the course selection process is this is a place where you can try to challenge yourself, where there's built-in supports in place to help you if you need it. And so I think that's part of the way we encourage students to take those leaps, knowing that this is a place where there's a safe opportunity to have some failure, because we'll be there to pick you up and work you through the process. So thank you for your comments.
Thank you very much for the presentation. There's a lot of data here. I think it's kind of a lot to process and to really think about. I do have a couple of questions and comments. Looking at our Regents results, I'm happy to see that, you know, the overwhelming majority of our students are passing the Regents exams. I do have some concerns with our mastery rates, though, especially in our higher level math and science classes. I would really like to see more than 30% of our students who are taking those tests scoring higher than an 85, especially because we do accelerate everybody. To me, that should say that more than 30% of our students should be able to get higher than an 85 if they're truly accelerated students. Similarly, with regards to our results on AP Calc, again, the number of students that are passing that exam is only 60%, which again, for me, if we're accelerating our students to the extent that they can be in Calc and get to Calc, I would like to see more of them meeting with success, because that's a tremendous course load to take on from grade 8 to 11 to get into a Calc class to not meet with success. I imagine that must be kind of a confidence killer for some of our kids who, while again appreciate that they are in the rigorous course, how can we get them to be more successful to pass that exam? With regards to math applications, IB math applications, I know a lot of our seniors are taking that course, and that's the 2-year math course, correct, for IB?
Correct.
You know, I would like to think about how we can offer that class as a year-long class, or maybe a 1.5 period for senior year for our kids who are opting to take Math 8 and then moving into algebra, that if they do decide to pursue the IB diploma, it's going to be very difficult for them to get that piece of it. So I think that's something we really have to look at. I know that a lot of other districts that offer IB do offer that 2-year class in a 1-year continuum, maybe 1 period or 2 periods a day. So that would be a big ask from me. I also have a question about the college credits. I think it's great that we're aligning our IB classes with colleges, which will help increase the probability that colleges are going to take those classes for credit. Students have to pay a fee to take the IB exam, correct?
Correct.
And then they have to then pay a fee to get the college credit.
They would be separate, correct.
So how are we supporting our families that just can't afford those fees? How do we ensure that those students are still able to take the course and get the credits?
Yeah, so we have multiple systems in place to help support families that don't have the means to pay for these credits. Both the IB exam fees, we have a process for which families are notified of ways in which we can help offset some of those costs. The district does offer subsidizing to reduce the rate as it is, but for families that can't afford it, we do have a process in place where that occurs. It happens yearly, where we will work with families to help them, support them with that. The same would go as for college credit courses. We would work with each family that came forward that needed assistance in it. So it's a case-by-case basis, and we work with each family individually because we don't want to see any student not have an opportunity. But it is something that we are cognitively aware of, and we work with families on a case-by-case basis as that happens.
What is the total fee then for about, if you could give me an approximate, for a child who's going to have to pay for the IB exam and then is going to have to pay for those college credits?
So I'll speak to the college credit, and then I'm going to ask Ms. Darby to speak a little bit about the finances of the IB courses. The college courses are typically, Malloy is $300 for a 3-credit class. Stony Brook is the same, $300. Five Towns is only offering 1 credit, so it's $50. But those are the rates for those courses. And I'm going to ask Ms. Darby to share about the IB.
So in IB courses, you pay a subject fee, and you pay the subject fee for each subject one time, essentially in the year you're being assessed. So that means that this year we had students pay, or families pay $88 per subject. That's subsidized because the actual cost is $123 per subject. So what happens is that in a higher level course like English, you're not paying the $88 until your senior year. If you're in a standard level course that concludes in junior year, that $88 would be that year. And we've adjusted rates based on what the IB rate is, but there hasn't been fluctuation recently. So $88 per course.
So essentially then we're looking at around, between the IB fee and the college credit, about $400 then, give or take, maybe $15 or $20.
If they choose to pay for both, if they choose to pursue both. So if they're paying for the subject fee, a lot of times if it's an HL course, they might pursue the college credit through the examination. They have the option to purchase the college credit. It's not mandatory. It's not a mandatory component of the class. Each case is different. Like I said before, it really depends on where the school the student's applying to, the major the student intends to participate in. Each case is so unique, and so it really depends on what the best course is for the student. But again, if they paid for both, that would be the case, but they do not have to pay for the college credit.
Okay, as I said, I think it's nice that we have that opportunity. I know some complaints we've heard from the community before is that, a lot of colleges don't accept IB for credit, or it's kind of hit and miss whether or not a college will take that class for credit versus an AP, where if you're getting the score the college requires, they're going to take that. So I think it's a nice layer. The cost of it is a little bit concerning to me, though, especially if you're taking 5 or 6 IB classes. I mean, you could really be racking up a few $1,000s in fees, which I think for any family in 2024 is an ask. So that's helpful to know. I appreciate that.
I just could I just clarify one thing, if that's okay? I just wanted to say that when students are applying to college, colleges often look at the differentiation between higher level and standard level courses. And what's really exciting is that the American Council of Education just published new research this past July. And they're really a policy driver in American college and universities. And the report suggested that upon review of all IB standard level syllabi, that they're really commensurate with college level coursework, and that colleges should be giving at least 3 credits for students who are earning 4 and above on those standard level courses. So we're expecting that we're going to see some changes in American colleges and universities based on that report, and that's really exciting news for this community. As Dr. Walsh was saying before, it's wonderful, and I'm glad that you guys are noticing that too, that we're offering the college level credit and partnering with Stony Brook University, but our hope would be that that the trend goes in that direction, and that our students will have even more opportunity. And in addition to that, just with the higher level coursework, students earn a subject, students earn a grade out of 7 on the subject, right? But they can still transfer those depending on the college and depending on what level they've earned. So just a point of clarification.
Thank you. And I hope that universities do begin to accept the IB classes at greater rates. One of the things I was noticing and looking at the data about the IB diploma, it looks like the number of students that we have who are choosing to pursue IB and actually getting the IB has dropped somewhat significantly since 2018. So in 2018, 61% of our students initiated or pursued the diploma, with only 43% achieving it. And those numbers have decreased from 41% pursuing it to 28% getting it. I mean, I understand running the IB diploma program, both at the middle school and the high school, is quite expensive. We spend almost $275,000 a year in total to run both of those programs. And for only 28% of our students to be achieving or getting this diploma for that amount of money, those students, that's a high per pupil expenditure for that child's education versus a child who's not opting into IB, when there are other options like AP courses that could be put in place for much cheaper that could potentially have more benefits for students. So that's just a notice that I have, and a little bit of a concern. If we're spending this amount of money, I would like to see more students achieving and taking, pursuing and achieving
Could I just
the
jump
IB
in?
diploma.
Right. So I'll just add to that. I like to look at the numbers from 2018 to 2024 in context, because if you look back to 2018, we did have 61% of the class pursuing the IB diploma. The next year was 58%. There's the tipping point is 2020, right? And we all know what happened in 2020. So we then dropped to 42% in 2020, but we're at 43% right now. And as I noted also, I'm not at liberty to discuss the actual numbers that are regionally in cohorts, but we're very strong participation numbers here at Southside, which really has been a point of pride and one of the reasons that I've been so excited to come work here and help support students and teachers. To the point about, you're speaking directly about success rates and percentage of kids earning the IB diploma. Our percentage of students earning the IB diploma, we want to look also at how the IB has adjusted grade distributions in a response to the COVID pandemic. So what happened was that in the years of the COVID pandemic, one of the things that happened was they adjusted mark bands so that more students were able to earn more points and end up ultimately getting those 24 points. And they've readjusted them because one thing that the IB looks at is they don't want to damage their reputation internationally, so they have to have high credentials. So we're experiencing some of the rebound from that here, and we definitely have more work to do, right, with students and with teachers thinking about classroom instruction and classroom practices, and we're here to support that. So I think that's in the numbers also when we're really looking at them realistically. And another point just about the success rate, we had 64% of students who earned the diploma this year, but really we had 75% of students that were very close to earning the diploma, a few students that were just 1 point away from the 24, and another handful of students that didn't earn the diploma because one of the prerequisites is that you have to earn 12 points in your higher level courses, and we had a few students who had 11. And we work really diligently with our staff because we get feedback from the IB, both on individual student work and in our subject reports that drive our instruction. So those are all realities that I think are going to try to help us here. And then, you know, we have had a lot of course candidates. Those numbers have increased because kids are having more creative outlets and are choosing different courses that Dr. Walsh was suggesting we're offering here too. So those are some of the things that we're seeing in the numbers.
Great. I hope that our numbers do increase and that the decrease isn't indicative of just decreasing demand for the diploma. I had one question about seal of civic readiness as well. I would really like to see those numbers increase. As we do our social studies review, I really like that team to be cognizant as to our systems that we have in place and how we're designing systems, because it's very easy to design into civic knowledge and civic preparation, especially with the MYP project. That would be a great place to get your point for civic preparation, or civic participation, I should say. I would really like to see the vast majority of our students qualify for that seal.
Yeah, we agree. I would just add, we agree. That's a goal of ours too. We've been working with our social studies department as well on ways in which we can expand that. So we definitely agree.
And then the other question that I had related to the course catalog. So I have questions and concerns about the extent to which New York State standards drive instruction versus the IB framework guiding instruction. When I'm looking at our course catalog, when I look at English 9, 10, IB 11, co-seated 11, non-co-seated 11, it still states in 24-25 guide that we are teaching to the Common Core standards. The Next Generation standards came out in 2016, so almost 10 years ago. So I'm not sure why it still says Common Core standards. And that's the same for algebra and geometry. Again, Common Core standards 2016. In science, I went to Parent University last week and I did attend the presentation on the science, which, thank you, it was an excellent presentation. But one point that really stuck out to me again was the standards. That those standards were adopted in December of 2016 and they began to be implemented in New York State in July of 2017. The first rendition of the Earth Science Regents with the Next Gen standards is being offered this year, and I understand we have the option to take or not take, which I don't care which item we're not taking it, which is not of a concern to me. What is of a concern to me is that we are just now beginning to implement instruction around the Next Generation standards. So that's surprising to me, and I guess I'm just wondering, what have we been doing since 2017 that these standards have not already been implemented? We are in the last moments, and it's a concern for me. Those are heavy standards.
So, yeah, can I just answer the question about the course catalog and the guide? Our teachers have engaged in curriculum writing to ensure that our curriculum that we present to students is up to date with the current standards. I will look through the curriculum guide to make sure that that's reflective and accurate, but I can assure you the curriculum itself is up to date with the standards. That's been done through iterative curriculum writing that happens in all subject areas. So I can assure you that that is certainly the case. The question about science, we have, and Mr. Accardi, I'm going to turn it over to in a minute. It has been an ongoing process with the high school science department over the last 3 years, a 3-year well-thought-out plan about how we engage with these standards in terms of training, sending teachers to training, bringing in in-house training as well, so that we're prepared for the changes. But Mr. Accardi?
So as Dr. Walsh was saying, over the last past 2 school years and continuing this school year as well, at the high school level, the middle school level, and the elementary level, they have started to do that process. I'm in the process of putting together all of that information so that I can email it to you as well. I know we had discussed that during Parent U. Professional development, looking at current curriculum, and taking a look at the three-dimensional framework for science and aligning our curriculum currently to meet those needs, as well as taking the assessments, the three-dimensional assessment questions, and using different programs that we've researched and to see which are the best ones to be able to create our assessments to align with New York State's three-dimensional framework.
Thank you. You know, as we approach probably our next iteration of what public school is going to look like, if standards happen to change again, which I'm sure they will, can we please just make sure that we are on the forefront? And I know you were not here in 2016 or 2017, but I think that would be helpful. Also, with regards to the course catalog, going back to social studies, you know, I notice in 9th and 10th grade, the only options our students have in social studies are Global 9 Advanced and Global 10 Advanced. If we're offering a Global 10 Advanced class because everyone's advanced, why don't we offer AP World in 10th grade? That would be a great advanced class for kids who are truly advanced in social studies.
The social studies review, we're looking at several AP options at the 9th and 10th grade level, including AP Human Geography, right? Because 9th grade global, that would fit, and also as well as AP World.
Good. I'd also appreciate if we could look at AP Economics and AP Gov for our seniors who do not choose to take the second IB class or any of the other social studies classes that are in there. And my last question, at the end of the presentation, we talked about a new instructional support team. What have we been doing? Like, it seems a little concerning that we're just putting an instructional support team in now.
So this was an effort to formalize it. We have had, the ineligible and probation list comes out every 5 weeks, where we look at students who are failing 2 or more classes. And we use that list to have parent meetings, work with counselors, bring administrators into the conversation. So there has already been work that's been happening. What we're looking to do here is bring a team together of a full team of counselors, a full team of social workers, and bring that into the conversation from the social emotional lens. The academic lens we've already been addressing. We have academic intervention plans that are put in place. Those have been occurring regularly. What this is an expansion of that. It's a building on of what we're already doing to make sure that we're including the PPS team as well in that, in addition to even staff that are not necessarily directly involved in the student. So, of course, the social worker, the counselor of that particular assigned student is part of the conversation, but now we're bringing the entire department together to brainstorm collectively. So it's work that we think will help enhance the process. I think it will help develop our staff wholly as well, too, to be a part of a team approach. But there were already things in place already when we would do that with intervention steps for students who were struggling. This is really more of just an expansion of that, and really just an additional opportunity for that to occur.
Great, thank you. I truly appreciate the work that everyone does. I know I have a lot of questions, and they probably come off as being quite negative. I don't think this district is reaching its potential, and it's not because of any person. I think our teachers are wonderful. I think our administrators are wonderful. I think everybody's doing the best job they can. From the core of my belief, this is a systems issue. Every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. So when we look at our results, and the results are the same year after year after year, and we fall further and further and further from the conversation of the best districts in New York State, we should be part of that conversation because we have the potential to be. We have the teachers, we have the resources, we have the administrators, we have the students. We need to change our systems. We need to think about what we are doing, what is working, and where we can be better. And until we do that, we will continue to get the same results we get. Thank you.
You know, just to follow up for there, I don't think we're not in that conversation. You know, I would push back on that. I think we are in the conversation. The fact that we have 62% of our kids taking college level classes would tell me that our students are prepared for that next level. And if you go back to Dr. Walsh's presentation slide where he talks about the sheer number of kids and percents of cohorts that we have taking classes, we're doing an excellent job. I appreciate the work that everyone's doing, and I thank you for your comments.
Yeah, could we pull up slide, it's number 8? Because to me, this was the Regent summary for elective exams. To me, this slide tells a story that the Southside High School community has more students taking difficult and elective, not even required courses, and doing better in them. So we have more students taking harder courses and finding success and doing well in them. Can you just run through what grades are typically students in when they are taking these regions that are on the list here?
Yeah, so at Southside High School, our 9th graders are taking geometry, our 10th graders are taking algebra 2, and for chemistry, our 10th graders are taking chemistry, and physics is for our 11th graders.
Right, and so when we're comparing, particularly geometry, algebra 2, our students are a full year younger than the right side of the slide. where
Right, so
they
for
are
the
being
county, the
compared to that
typical,
cohort.
for the county, typically the geometry is taken in the 10th grade year, algebra 2 in the 11th grade year, moving 1 year back. Chemistry, 11th, and physics, 12th grade, if that.
And what that does is open up opportunities. We go to the next slide with the slide number 9, and then even to slide number 10, where we see, and since you mentioned, actually, I'm sorry, go back to the earlier one, slide 9. So you mentioned the grades that students are taking geometry, algebra 2, chemistry, and physics in. When they take these classes, AP Calc, AB, BC, Stats, and AP Computer Science Principles, they are in May of their senior year,
Correct.
for the most part. And so they have not only gone through the college application process, been accepted most likely to the college of their choice. By this point, they may have been to orientation. They may have enrolled already in their fall classes. And I'm sure that the majority of our students are working as hard as they can and taking these courses as seriously as they can. But the timing matters for AP versus the Regents scores that we're looking at.
Right.
As we look to that number 10, IB Chem, year 1 and year 2, if you were to pay the subject fee of $88 and then $300 for Malloy, you have the option to get as many as 9 college credits for 1 class. It's taken over 2 years here
Right.
at Southside, but IB Chem, if you pay the fee to get the Malloy credit, that's a guarantee. Those 9 credits are guaranteed at Malloy, but they're more certainly possible to transfer into whatever other college the student is enrolled in.
Absolutely. It depends on the university, but yes, they earn that credit, it is theirs, and then it's up to them as whichever university they choose to attend, where the application happens then.
And most likely, students are paying a lot more than $300 per credit.
Well, that's the
wherever they're
huge
going to
advantage,
college.
significantly reduced rate, clearly. For anybody that knows the cost of college, as you know, the way that it's offered here is a significantly reduced rate.
Right, and so depending on a student's score in either an IB course or an AP course, the college with which they enroll might accept it as an elective. They might accept it as a distributive requirement.
Yeah, that's correct.
They might accept it as a prerequisite that a student might not get credit for, but it would allow them more options in college to then, as you said, free up a schedule.
Yeah, that's the idea, that kids are walking in with opportunities for flexibility. And we've heard directly from students that have shared as such, that when they got on campus, they realized they had all this flexibility and freedom in their schedule that just lightened the load and made that transition a little easier for them. So,
Right,
absolutely.
especially if it's chem, right? Because you're not only talking about classroom hours, you're talking about lab hours.
It can lighten the load, but also it opens up possibilities. Like we'll have students who end up enrolling in like a 5-year program where they might get their MBA as well, and they can do that maybe in 4 years because they already have sophomore standing. It allows students to double major, which is wonderful, or to study abroad or make other choices that maybe they couldn't if they were starting with no credits or minimal credits.
One of the things that we talked about last year and related to potentially participation in the full IB diploma program are the extra sort of elements, right? So I know in the Parent University session, Ms. Darby, you were talking about course candidates where a student can take some IB courses, they're also not precluded from taking the AP courses that we offer as well. But the extra piece that's required to get that full IB diploma, one of those elements being the extended essay. So I think we were talking about building in a little more support for students to get more of that done during the school day as opposed to entirely on their own. Can you speak to that at all?
Yes, so in our year 1 course, which is called Core Elements in Theory of Knowledge, students are engaging in the theory of knowledge curriculum, but they also are getting support for extended essay and CAS. And what goes on with extended essay is that a lot of their initial research, their drafting of a research question, their choosing their subject and their focus of choice is done in that class in community and with the guidance of their first year Core Elements Theory of Knowledge teacher. It's really quite a nice system right now because they're getting support in that class, and then they also have an extended essay mentor, and then they also have me. So it's almost like 3 levels of support. The other great thing is that this year we are putting the Theory of Knowledge exhibition into the year 1 of the course. So that's wonderful for student balance in the core because one of their requisite assessments is now being completed in the first year of the course. They're also building capacity and a skill set in theory of knowledge because they're being asked to produce something in that junior year. So they can take that skill set and transfer it to their other courses. So we're hopeful that that's going to be really positive. We're already getting some positive feedback from students that are engaged in the course and from the extended essay coordinators as well as the teachers teaching the course.
I would add too, just the experience of learning the elements of TOK in that early on phase. So they're applying that knowledge in their other subject areas. So seeing the connectedness and the tenets of that course and seeing how it fits in early on has been really important for them in terms of making that the program of study that it is what makes it so powerful, that it's not just one isolated course. It's a connected set of courses that work together towards an experience, has been strengthened by that course.
And I think some of the writing that students do across some of these extra elements, whether it's the essay or the theory of knowledge class, come in really handy in the college application process, not just in the general Common App essay section, but when students are asked to write a supplemental essay, or in many cases, many supplemental essays, they have an area of specialty where they can really shine and explain to a college admissions committee, I've done independent research on this, and this is what I have found.
I think that's probably the most common bit of feedback that I get from students when we speak to our recent graduates about how well prepared they felt with writing. So those large writing assignments that they had in their first year in college, they would have either their roommate or someone in their class who was struggling and didn't have the same experience. They felt like they were prepared. So when we say we're about preparation, it's through those experiences that happen, the writing that happens, not just in our IB program, right? We have our 9th graders write a research paper for the science fair, 9th and 10th grade students who that are writing in science, right? Which is a really, you would think, you wouldn't put that there necessarily, but they're getting a commitment and exposure to that at an early age in preparation so that they're seeing it in the 9th and 10th grade level so that when they get to the upper levels here at the high school, they have a basis and a foundation to be successful.
Right, and that's what we want, right? We want to ensure that all students find their place, whether that is, what's the reason why they're excited to go to school? It might be English class, it might be physics class, but it might also be chamber singers. It might also be painting and drawing. It might be, I've got to get through so many periods so I can go to practice, right, for my sport. So whatever that reason is, that's what we want to encourage, that's what we want to build, and I think this, from my perspective here, this tells a story of success with not just what comes next in the post-secondary world, but also the kind of caring and nurturing environment that we are providing that allows students to stretch themselves, knowing that there are supports available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. You've been standing there a while.
That's okay.
And you'll have to bear with me a little bit. I have a lot of thoughts jumping in my head that I've scribbled all over the place. In listening to everybody's comments, I think one of the things that I'm taking away from it, And I think it links actually perfectly to the fact that we're starting to develop a strategic plan, which isn't really about the high school specifically, but about the district broadly, is just evaluating and being, you know, your quote at the beginning about constantly striving for getting better and continuous improvement. I think that's what this conversation really is about. There are some fantastic things to be really proud of. There are some areas to like drill down on and look for how we can, you know, elevate what we're doing. I would just ask that as we're looking strategically, and this isn't really for Dr. Walsh, it's more just a general comment, as we're looking strategically what we're trying to build over the next couple of years, you know, our staff has a limited number of hours, our students have a limited number of hours, our budget has a limited number of dollars, and so I would like us to be deliberate in the choices that we make, and some of the things we may come to the end of it and say, you know what, we're doing it exactly the way we should be doing it, and some of the things we may say, you know what, we've been doing this for a lot of years, but it's really not serving our goals or our mission or our students as well as it used to. So I think that's one of the great things that we're taking a look now, and just be open to either saying, yes, continue, or no, we really do need to go in a different direction. So that's sort of the overarching umbrella I've been thinking as we've been sitting here. I do have a couple of more specific comments and questions, just quickly, in no particular order. The fees for the IB tests and also the fees for college credits. I know the colleges are offering that at already a discounted rate, but do either IB or the colleges offer anything on their end to offset the costs for students who can't afford it, or do we have to absorb that cost?
Yeah, so we have the opportunity to work with the state and get some reimbursements back for students who qualify. So we do it through that process. As far as our ability to reduce the cost for the colleges, that's a set cost by the college, so we have very little wiggle room there. And the IB exam fee, to my knowledge, they don't reduce, but like I said before, my recommendation to any families would be to come forward to us if there are situations in which there's a need, because we certainly don't want to close out any opportunities, and we would handle situations on a case-by-case basis.
Do you think there's any opportunity for a conversation with Malloy or with Stony Brook to see if they would be willing to like help us offset the cost somehow for those families?
Yeah, it certainly can't hurt to ask. So we can certainly. It's been a good partnership so far. So we can certainly look into that.
That would be great. Thank you. So one of the other things that has been dawning on me, particularly listening to Dr. Downing talk, because she's been through the process multiple times before of college applications and sort of seeing the end result of this K-12 spectrum. I am pretty early in the process. And this is not new either, and again, it's not really just for the high school, but I really think we have to improve our communication starting 6th through 12th and find a way to have parents understand. I'm learning some of the things that were just discussed here are brand new to me even, and I feel like I've been trying to pay attention for years, even before I sat in this seat. So things like what colleges are looking for, what college credit opportunities are available, what you should be thinking about, particularly for a family that's coming through it for the first time. You don't know what you don't know, and I think the more we can have conversations in 7th grade, in 8th grade, in 9th grade, I don't think we're doing a good enough job of having that ongoing conversation. So that's one suggestion. One other sort of question or comment, I did go to Parent U, and I went to there was a presentation on social emotional learning and mental health, and there was a parent question about how sources of strength is being implemented at the middle and high school level. And I think At the elementary level, it's very clear to parents how that gets implemented because there's push-in lessons probably on like a monthly, if not more, basis. So there's like a very targeted. It's a little bit less clear how that's getting implemented at the middle and high school level. And again, it's not really data, but it does go to this concept of educating the whole child. I just think, again, as we're planning, that's something to look at, being a little bit more deliberate in ways that we can infuse that into the daily activities that we are currently doing.
Yeah, so it's a great question. When we brought in sources of strength at the high school, we were the first building to have it. So we had gotten trained in what the experience is designed to be at the secondary level is different than what it should be at the elementary level. So there is a purposeful difference of what it looks like. So there's more freedom and a little bit more liberty for the staff at the high school, the team that's organizing it, to determine how it fits best for each building. So what we do at the high school is we have, over the course of a school year, there will be 2 to 3 building-wide campaigns that occur over the course of a week. So let's say, for example, there's a Trusted Adult campaign that's happening in the fall. There'll be a week's worth of activities that students will see in a variety of places. So it's not one thing, it's a series of things that happen throughout the building in multiple different fashions. So there might be, every morning on the morning news, there will be a segment that tailors directly to the mission of what they're looking to accomplish that week, centered around trusted adults. That'll be one piece. Then there'll be a series of potentially PA announcements that happen 9th period that week that just, again, remind and provide opportunities for students to learn about, the message that they're looking to get across. There might be a main lobby display where kids are encouraged to come down, fill out a pledge, engage with some kind of resource or students at a table. But we've also agree with part of the middle school model, which the classroom experience is important too, right? So it shouldn't just be all extra. Right. So once a month, each department takes a component of the wheel and teaches, crafts lessons around that. So for example, phys ed department might have physical activities and they reference it explicitly once a month in that month when they're in charge of the wheel, so to speak. So every month they're getting something in a different discipline that relates to the wheel, so they're learning it, they're hearing it, and it's happening regularly. So it's a bit more ongoing, and it's catered to really what fits best for the building.
So I think that's just reiterating a communication piece. I don't think very many families at all know that that's happening, and then it makes it hard to reinforce it at home or have conversations. I mean, high school kids are not typically known for sharing everything that happens in the course of their day. So if we could use Parent Square or something like that to just give parents more touch points of what's happening and ways that they can engage on that with their
definitely,
kids.
because the program is more beneficial when we have the support at home, just like
Yes.
all of the work that we're doing. So noted.
Appreciate that. I'm going to switch to some of the actual data questions. Just out of curiosity, when the teachers are seeing their Regents results or their AP results or IB results, are those consistent with what the students are getting during the year for the most part? Are they surprised? Part of what I'm curious about is sometimes you just, you've done all you can and the kid has done all they can, but you kind of typically know where your students are going to fall or where you expect them to fall. And the places where I think we need to really take a look at is where kids are not meeting what you expected they might meet. So is that part of the conversation?
Yeah, I think what that tells us is our instruction aligned to what the end of the year assessment should look like too, and are the expectations similar for students throughout. I think for the most part, our staff would say that yes, they have a good pulse of where kids are, and very few instances where there's complete shocks or surprises. Does it happen every once in a while where you see a kid and a score that just doesn't feel like it makes sense? I think that does happen, but I think that our staff have a good pulse of where the student is in the class and where the grade ends up and how those align. I think that they have a good feel of that.
Okay, Okay, so then
Yeah.
that's what I anticipated, and like, oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I just want to speak specifically to IB, so because we're talking about parent communication. So in IB, there is a predicted grade process, so teachers actually have to use data and make informed decisions about what they think the student will score out of 7. So that's something that occurs based on assessment in the classroom, and then that's a data point for us because we look for there to be continuity. And if we get the marks back and there isn't, then that's conversations among our staff, like, well, where did we maybe predict wrong? What are we over privileging in our classroom, or where do we need more support? And generally, they're pretty aligned. But if we see something that is off, then that's a real instructional point for us.
It's really interesting, actually, just comparing IB to AP for a second. That does not exist in the AP world. I mean, teachers can do that if they choose, but there's no formalized mechanism for that. So it's just, I think that's very instructionally valuable.
That's the difference between the one score on one day, right? The one AP
Right.
test versus multiple measures and IAs and different assessments of IB throughout the course of the year and 2 years.
So the second part of my question was going to be, if we are sort of predicting where we think our students are going to land, are there specific things we could be doing along the way? Like, they're probably going to land at an 83 or 84. Like, can we target this particular thing or that particular thing to boost, to get it over? Or they're going to land at a 64. I think, I'm not saying those things aren't happening. I just think those are areas where you can really kind of make a difference in an outcome for a student.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of we use it to get a little bit better. The quote that I brought at the beginning was, we use data as a tool for improvement, areas we can be a little bit better. Data is also great information for us, right? So knowing that, if our teachers have a good pulse of where kids are, and we think we have certain kids that are on the cusp of certain benchmarks that we value and are important, we can take a look at past performance and see traditionally where kids have struggled and tripped up, and use that as information to help them in instruction when we have them in our classroom. So the example I used before was, we've noted that students have been leaving points on the table for essays, for example, or constructed responses. How do we use that as a way to inform the instruction that we are doing in the classroom?
I think that covers it. Again, thank you for your
You're welcome.
for your longevity. I mean, we've been at this for a while, but I appreciate it.
Dr. Walsh, you mentioned a springboard for Comp Sci earlier with computer science principles moving forward. Can you just give us a little sneak peek in terms of what you mean by that?
So I'd have to ask Mr. Gavin at what liberty I'm able to.
Well, we already talked about
All
the
right,
AP
so
Social Studies, so I'm figuring
I just wanted to sign off
we're good
first.
to go.
Yeah, so this year, as we added computer science principles last year. This year we added AP Computer Science A, which is going really well and we're really excited for. We added a Python elective class as well as the prompt engineering that's going to run in second semester. We're really excited to continue that work. We are looking to offer a pilot course in AP Cybersecurity 1. So our computer science teacher, Mr. Bennett, went to a training during Superintendent's Conference Day with other computer science educators. And he came back to us and said, came across this really cool opportunity. Would we be interested in being a pilot school? And when it came to me, I said, this is something that seems like it fits right in the mission of where we're going with this program. It would be a nice addition to complement some of the stuff that we already have happening in computer science. So we're really excited to bring that in next year because that'll, I think, round out that program in a really nice way. So we're really excited. I know Mr. Gavin is too.
It's okay.
right.
I asked the question.
The only reason I say we have to be cautious on that is we have to apply to be a pilot school. So we put in the application, but that doesn't necessarily mean we'll be accepted, at least during the first year. So not everyone is accepted that first year. It usually broadens out as it goes. But the exciting thing about that course is that you get an industry-wide cybersecurity credential. You can take the test afterwards and get a security credential, which is ready industry standard. So that's like one of the first things that you can do is walk away not just with I got a 4 on the AP or I got a 5 on the AP, but you can walk away with the opportunity to take a test. That means you can go to work tomorrow. So
I have to admit that was not the answer I was expecting, so that's good to know.
Oh, there you go.
Hopefully it goes well. Okay, and then prompt engineering, what does the enrollment look like for that course?
Yeah, so we have one section that's going to be running in January. We have about 15 students that are in that class. So we're very much looking forward to it. We're working with the teacher to make sure we're prepared for that. And that is a field that, as we know, is ever changing. So we will make sure that we're ready for a great experience for students in January.
Thank you. And I just have to give a plug, since you're here, for the Year 1 TOK course. Makes me very happy. I'm glad it's going well. You know, it's near and dear to my heart, so I think anytime we can drum up enrollment for anybody, not just the diploma candidates, to take that class, I think everyone would benefit from a little TOK in their lives. So.
Yes, without question. And we look forward to continuing to offer that experience. And, you know, we're at a good spot this year. We look forward to continuing to open that up, and hopefully we get more kids to take advantage of it.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Turning to policies. Stage 1, we have 5211, gate receipts and admissions. We're looking to rescind this, correct?
That is correct.
So we're going to go through the stages, but we're looking to rescind, correct? Okay. 5240, property tax exemptions.
That I just revised it to make sure that it doesn't get out of date in the, in the future, and really just referencing that we are providing what's required or what's allowed under the law. All of those tax exemptions need to have resolutions approved, which are all done. So we just shortened the policy and kind of really referred it to the law.
Thank you. 5250, sale and disposal of school district property. Good to go?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
This is really just changing some language just to make things clearer and streamlining everything.
Thank you. 5340, borrowing of funds. Good to move?
Yes.
Thank you.
No
And
real change.
5350, payroll.
Yep,
Good. Currently at stage 2, we have 4310, superintendent of schools. Okay to move this?
Yes.
4320, superintendent of schools, board of education relations. Good
Good.
to move this?
Yep. Same.
5150, contingency budget.
Good,
Same.
And 5210, revenues.
good.
Good.
Currently at stage 3, we have 3412, threats of violence in school. Okay to move this to approval at the next meeting?
Yes.
3430, uniform violent and disruptive incident system.
We're rescinding.
Yep. And 3510, emergency closings.
Yes.
3520, extraordinary circumstances.
Good.
4211, line responsibility,
Good.
which goes with 4212, the org chart,
No
Yep.
change.
and 4250, use of committees. Okay to move this to approval?
To
We're
rescind.
Rescinding,
Rescind,
yep.
yes, thank you. Okay, thank you. Mr. Gavin, we have acceptance of a gift this evening.
We do. We have the donation of a chandelier that will serve as a play prop, and then otherwise after that hang in John Murphy's office. So we
That's
are very
amazing. Can't
we are
wait.
very excited and thankful to the family for donating that prop for us.
Yes, thank you very much. May I have a motion to accept the gift?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Mr. Murphy, look forward to seeing it in your office. May I have a motion to approve consent agenda items G2 through H6?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is December 12th. Happy Thanksgiving on behalf of the board. Have a good evening.
Thankful for you.